everyone. This is not a video that I ever thought that I would do, but I feel like I need to share my story because that's the way that I grieve, is to be able to talk about it. So today I'm just going to talk about how I survived Hurricane Michael, basically at ground zero, and how I had to walk through the devastation of what was Mexico Beach that night after the hurricane. It's still emotional for me to talk about it, but I just need to get this off my chest, and I feel like by sharing my story, maybe I can save somebody from staying again. And I do want to start out the video by saying that I completely understand how irresponsible it was to stay. I have been in hurricanes before. I was in Ivan in, I think it was 2005. I've never experienced anything like this, obviously, and I just did not think, I was naive, and I just didn't think that it was going to affect us the way that it did. I think somewhere in my mind I thought it was going to turn, it was going to slow down. There's been times before where hurricanes were 3 and they were 1 by the time that they got on land. So definitely please have patience with me. I have 100% learned my lesson, and if I can tell anybody, like, I was like, oh, my house is a new construction, it's 3-story, like if it floods on the bottom I'll be fine, and that's just not the case. I saw brand new constructions that were gone. So anyways, our story really starts about a week before the hurricane hit. The hurricane hit on our 5-year wedding anniversary, and Ryan and I had planned on going to Bimini, Bahamas. For several years now, we have been fortunate enough to take our boat down to Fort Lauderdale and launch from there and shoot over to Bimini and spend the week. We had been working with our vet's office to make sure that our dog was vaccinated and had everything available. We were trying to get the health certificate, and we were supposed to leave the Friday before it hit. I believe it was the 5th. We got a call that Monday before that Blaze was not going to pass his health inspection. Blaze is my dog. That he was having this mucus that was coming out of his nose. Before that, he had had like a little bit of some reverse sneezing, and we could not figure out what was going on. Our vet's office was not going to give him the health certificate until they figured out what was going on, and we just felt like we weren't getting answers. We were actually told that maybe he had cancer and we needed to go to Gainesville. I don't know. That doesn't even matter. The point is that we went and got a second opinion. You can see him running around back here. And we were just completely stressed out, obviously, right before we were supposed to leave on our trip. We had nowhere for the dog to stay, and we were worried that he was sick. Sorry, I had to pause that for a second. Brian came out to just kind of tell me a couple of things, but anyways, getting back to the story, long story short, we found out that he actually had, Blaze, our dog, had an abscessed canine tooth, and we were needing emergency surgery because it was infected so bad that they were wanting to get it out as soon as possible. So we were very fortunate that my mother-in-law said that she was going to help out, on top of my salon assistant Hayden and also my friend Lindsay. So actually my sister came over, so we headed out to Fort Lauderdale, towing our boat on Saturday morning. I believe that's the 6th. And my sister came over and spent the day with my dog because his surgery was going to be on Monday. Then Sunday morning, my friend Lindsay came over and let him out, spent some time with him. And then Sunday afternoon, my old salon assistant Hayden came over, and she got his kennel and all of that, and took him back to her house. And Monday morning took him to the vet's office. So let's go back. So we've had everything kind of scheduled around Blaze. That was stressful, but we knew, like, okay, it's going to be okay. After his surgery on Monday, my mother-in-law would come and get him. We would be in Bimini. All was good. We get down. So Saturday morning, we left early for Fort Lauderdale. Got to Fort Lauderdale that night. Woke up the next morning, and we're like, okay, this tropical storm, it's not looking good, and the spaghetti models are looking like it's coming up into the Gulf. So what do we do? Like, should we go home? Ryan's business, for those of you who don't know, is vacation rentals in Mexico Beach, and he felt like he needed to get back just so that he could help Haley, his assistant, with getting everything under control. We had already filled the boat up full of gas, so you can imagine, like, towing that back. We decided to leave Sunday afternoon, and didn't get back home until early Monday morning. So we rolled in about 3 o'clock Monday morning, and we didn't stop from there. This was the Monday morning before the hurricane hit, and by that time, when we woke up that morning, we did know that it was coming into the Gulf towards us. It didn't look that bad still, but we wanted to go ahead and get the rental stuff done, and it took us about 2 days to get everything. Ryan has so many rentals that, like, bringing everything in and trying to get guests out of the houses, and we actually had a few guests that didn't want to leave, and under mandatory evacuation, all vacation rental homes have to be evacuated. So by that next day, I think by Tuesday, they had finally gotten everybody out. The issue is that we're right on the county line, so Gulf County had issued a mandatory evacuation where Bay County had not yet, and it was really hard to get some of those guests out of there, believe it or not. So if you can imagine, like, we had all of this stress. So we had the dog, we had gone down to Fort Lauderdale, we had come back, worked on his rental houses. I mean, we just didn't have time to, like, sit there and really watch and know what's going on. Was it irresponsible of us? Yeah, we should have really paid attention, but we were just very concerned about our businesses and everything. Tuesday afternoon, my brother called me and said that he wanted to put his motorcycle in our garage so that it would at least have some kind of shelter from the wind. And I agreed, so he brought it over. I moved my SUV out of the garage and put his motorcycle in, and just spent some time with him. And I'm just so thankful that we got to spend even just a couple hours together before, because that separation time was pretty rough. I feel bad because I told him not to worry, that I didn't think our house was going to flood and his motorcycle was going to be safe. As a big sister, it's my responsibility. And it's always been my responsibility to take care of him. That was really hard that I let him down. But I'm telling you, I had no idea it was gonna flood like it did. The night before, we were just like carefree. We're like, we were ready for this. Still didn't think it was going to be as bad as it was. I think it was still a 2 or a 3. And then we woke up that next morning and it was like it exploded. And we were already getting crazy strong winds. Looking back on it now, I feel like we should have risked it to try to get out, but we were thinking it was too late to get out because the winds were so strong already. We were already experiencing like tropical storm winds, some gusts that were even more than that. We had a beautiful big breakfast the morning before. We had pancakes and bacon, and we just had this big breakfast, and we were just clueless to torment that we were gonna experience. But about 11 o'clock, the wind started really picking up. We were on the 3rd level. My house is it's a skinny, tall home, and our living room and kitchen are on the top floor. So we were up there, and wind started getting pretty bad. Ryan talked to a friend of ours, Ben, who is in construction, and is like, you know, really, this is not a great idea. You guys need to get into some shelter. So we went downstairs. So if you know our home, on the very bottom level we have the garage, and when you walk in the door there was stairs that wrapped around that went to the other levels, and then there was a bedroom to the right. We had an elevator shaft right as you walked in, and then to the right of that was a utility closet. That utility closet went in and then wrapped up, it went back behind all of the stairs that wrapped up around our house. So we felt like that utility closet was going to be really the safest place for us to go. I took a mattress. It's like a little foam mattress topper off of my sister's or our guest bedroom bed. Put it down and brought the dog down there. Brought some waters. We had a little fan in there, and we just shut the door. And that's pretty much like where, like, I don't know, all hell broke loose. We still had service. I was talking to my dad. I think I talked to my sister. I can't really remember. I think I got a text out to my brother by the time that it flooded, but I had gone to the bathroom and looked outside, and it was pretty still. And I remember texting my dad and saying, I think we're fine. The eye has just come by. I'm pretty sure this is the eye. We couldn't get radar, so we didn't know where this thing was, if we were getting stronger winds or not. And he texted me back and said, yes, the eye is over y'all right now. Maybe 30 more minutes of this. And I'm like, praise God. I mean, it was scary, but I just thought, okay, you know, we made it. And it wasn't 5 minutes later after I got that text from my dad. I mean, we lost service like that, and I told Ryan, I said, I hear water. And I thought maybe a window had blown out and we were hearing water like come in through a window or something. I had no idea. When he opened the utility closet, the door coming into our house from the garage had popped at middle ways, and water was just coming through. And it filled our home so quickly. I mean, a matter of seconds. So that storm surge, it was so quick. I grabbed my dog. I grabbed my purse because I had brought my purse down there, and I just ran. And the water was chasing us up the stairwell. I don't even know. I didn't know. It's just crazy to even talk about it. But when we got up the stairwell, we have 3 bedrooms, including the master bedroom that's on the 2nd floor. We went into my master bedroom closet, And that's where we rode it out the rest of the time. We were really fortunate that the water didn't rise any more than that. I believe that we had 8 feet of storm surge that came through. And I mean, when we got into the closet, I was holding on. I got up underneath where got a rack of clothes, you know, and I got up underneath there and I just held onto the rack and held my dog. And our house, I didn't know at the time, I thought it was, I have a Escalade. I thought that my Escalade was ramming the wall that we were up underneath, because my master closet kind of sits above where the garage is. And it was actually another house. It could have possibly also been the Escalade floating, but another house had broken free and slammed into our house. And so it wasn't 30 minutes. It was not 30 minutes. In my mind, I was like, this is a fast moving storm. Like, even if it does damage, it's fast moving. I kept hearing fast moving on the news, and so that's why I was like, it can't be that long. It can't be that long. And it was, every time I would look at my phone, it would be only a minute past, only a minute past. I had my Apple Watch on at the time, and my blood pressure, it was giving me warnings like, you've been idle for 10 minutes and your blood pressure is way too high, you know, seek medical attention. And I don't know, we just kept praying that our house wasn't going to float away, because we didn't know what the banging was. I mean, our bodies were just kind of like shaking, and the wind was blowing, and the house was expanding and contracting. I don't really know how to explain it, but I think the most devastating part of it, of course, that was so scary, and we finally made it through. And I think about 4 o'clock, maybe it was 5, Ryan went into the hallway to check to see where the water was, and it was gone. So as quick as that water came in, when the storm left, it sucked it right back out that quick. So it's like Mother Nature's power. I don't know. We knew that we couldn't stay in the house. I happen to have had this little dog carrier that straps onto me on the front of me like a backpack. So put Blaze in that, strapped him onto me, grabbed a backpack. I just grabbed like 2 pairs of clean underwear and a t-shirt. I had some Sorel ski boots, and I ripped the fur out of them and tied them up on my feet, because we knew outside. I mean, I've got pictures that I'll eventually put up, but just total devastation all the way around us. We were blessed that our house stood. We had a wall of angels around us for sure. But we got out. It took us about an hour to get out of our home. When we got out, it was just like natural gas was everywhere. Even though we still had, I think it was like tropical storm force winds outside, the amount of natural gas that you could smell was crazy. And then of course, like, homes were on fire, so it was even, I don't know, it was even scarier. And it was getting dark. My in-laws live maybe 2 miles from our house. I don't know, maybe longer. And we were just like, we either have to make it to our friend Kevin and Kara's, which is about 1 mile from our house, or try to make it all the way to our in-laws. So we started walking, and it was about dusk, and there was a man who, I don't know his name, I know Ryan knows him, and he's just like such a blessing to us. I saw him and I just started screaming and waving. And he drove through rubble to get us. And his little Jeep was so packed with other stuff, but he made space for us. And he said, "Where are you going?" And we asked him, like, "Where are you going? Just take us. Like, we don't want to put you out, but just take us to either Beacon Hill or Overstreet." And he said, "I'm going to see my mom in Overstreet and check on her." And he said, "We can drop you off at the Harmon place." And I'll never forget pulling up to that house and seeing that that house was still there. And my mother-in-law was outside with a flashlight. And when we pulled up, she didn't know who it was. And when we got out, we just grabbed her. And we started crying. We saw that everybody had made it in the house. They started telling us their stories of how they survived. Her house did pretty well. She had her garage doors ripped off, tile on the roof was all gone. The pool in the backyard was, the screen and all of that was ripped to pieces. But we all were alive. By God's glory, we were alive. And it makes everything a reality. It makes everything, I don't know, just changes your life for the better, actually. Ryan and I lost everything. The next morning we got up and got on the golf cart. My in-laws' golf cart was still working. And we took it around just to assess what was going on, see if we couldn't help anybody. And our real estate office was gone. I mean, everything in Mexico Beach was gone. It's just crazy that in 24 hours everything can be taken from you. But like I said, we're just so blessed that we're together and we're alive. My in-laws ended up being a staging area for FEMA. We had Rick Scott fly in on his helicopter. We have videos, which I'll put up, of National Guard landing their helicopters in the yard. Being able to see America support us like they did, and the amount of people coming in to help, and the amount of people that just messaged me, what can I do? Definitely find out who your friends are, and I'm so blessed to be in a town that's so loving them. I mean, all of my clients, everybody seems to be okay. We've lost houses, we've lost businesses, we've lost vehicles, but we're going to unite, we're going to build up stronger. Port St. Joe is a beautiful town. Mexico Beach is a beautiful town, and I can't wait to see the future that we have in store. So I'm going to leave you with this. I had to share my story just to get it out there, and I will say, please don't judge me for staying, because I've learned my lesson. For those of you who are watching this video, if you're ever in a situation like that, don't. Lost you for there for a second. But don't ever stay. Don't ever mess with it. Just go. It's not worth it. I love you all. I'm so sorry to those who worried about me and were looking for me. I had so many people who were looking for me. And to Hunter, I'm so sorry about your motorcycle. I'm so sorry that you trusted me with your vehicle. I mean, I honestly didn't believe that we were going to flood. So, people make mistakes. I really hope that you won't judge me. I'm not even going to read the comments because, like I said, I definitely don't need to hear it. I've been through enough. Hopefully you won't make the same mistake that I did. It is 6/27, October the 10th. This is our home. We have leaking over here.
Crazy.
We also have a wet couch here. This is all wet and apparently you can see all the water on the floor. Okay, it's 5:53. Eastern time. Got a little bit of receding water. We're going to see the road now. Be careful, Blades. Come on, honey. Watch the tile. Come on.